Hey y'all, I got my Ninja Foodi in the mail today and it arrived smashed up, so I'm gonna see if I can fix it. So here's the main problem. In case you can't tell, this is the handle that used to be on those two screws. Now it's smashed to bits. The rest of it's got a few scratches on it, but otherwise not too bad. And I did try all of the functions to make sure that it still works, and it does. So I think if I just replace this handle, we'll be in business. This handle was made in two pieces. What I'm gonna do is 3D model a new handle and then print it on my 3D printer. But I don't want to have to model two parts, so I'm just going to model it as one. And that means the existing one here probably looks pretty because when you put this top cover on, it covers up the fasteners. But since mine's only going to be one piece, I'm going to have to do a hole in the top part here so that I can get that fastener, those two fasteners in. Whatever, no big deal. So basically, let's have a little look here. That is a curved surface, a tiny bit, just along there. But when I have a look at the way that this handle actually mounts to this, I think that I can actually just model that flat across there, which is really good because it's a little easier not have to try to model that curve. And then I take my trusty calipers here and measure the center line of these fasteners. $148 millimeters ish. I can just make those holes a tiny bit oversized so that it definitely fits. And then I'm gonna have to do some other measurements, including these dimensions on the side. Also how tall I want to make it. So I'll do all of that and then we'll meet at the computer. Okay, here we are. So I've done some prep work on this model. I've measured out the handle and modeled these different parts of it as sketches along the way, and I'm going to use a loft command to create this. So I'm not going to go through these modeling steps in great detail. I'm just going to whip through. If anybody wants to see more or has any questions, please just leave me a comment and I can create another video more specific to just this modeling. There's obviously a few different ways of doing this, and I've just decided to do a loft because. So here we go. Close profiles for the profiles, obviously. And then as you're selecting these, just make sure that you're picking the same points, following those green dots along one line. And we need guide curves so you can see that the loft is working. It looks okay, but it will look nicer if we pick some guide curves. So we'll go ahead and do that. Oops, there. I have quite a few here. You don't actually need, well, I mean, it depends on what you're doing, but sometimes you don't need this many. I just found that it makes my shape a lot tighter if I have a bunch here, so it's good. So we can see that this looks nice and tight to where we want it. All of our settings are correct over there, so I'm gonna go loft. Yeah, nice. And then I'm gonna hide some of these other sketches to clean this up a little. Now I need to add the holes in the bottom. So these two outside holes are just locator pins on the lid. And then this center part, I'm just going to use a slot for the screw hole, which is going to have to go all the way through. So locator pins, let's just select these two contours here. And let's say 5 millimeters, probably deep enough. Okay. And then my slot, and this should just go through all. Okay. since I have a pan head screw with a washer, I need a surface for that all to sit on. So this here offset curve can be my counter bore. So this offset will give me a material thickness at the bottom, let's say 4 millimeters. So that's offset right here through all yada yada grand. Okay, so you can see the screw's going to sit in there. Got my little pinholes, great. And then I just want to pretty this up a little by adding some fillets to these corners so they're not going to be too sharp when you grab them. 1, 2, and that looks good. Okay, then I'm going to mirror, so creating symmetric parts this way is efficient because you don't have to model everything twice. So I just model half of it and then mirror across one of the, try to use the main planes as much as possible just because they're not linked to anything. So if you decide to change something down lower, they're not going to get all confused on you. So it's just better. And then I'll mirror the body here. So that, and I want to merge solids, knit surface. Good. Let's see how that looks. Oh, baby. Okay. Hide that guy. Now I do have just one part, cut list 1. Good. And because I'm a huge nerd, I want to put some writing on the top of this. So I'm going to do a sketch on the top plane. Need to add some lines here for the text to sit on. So horizontal, then this, and this can be midpoint, and this can be vertical. This construction, and there we go. Make this a little wider. Looks about right. Put my text on here. Cooking good! Exclamation mark. Okay, so text or my font here. I want to pick a font that's pretty bulk, like doesn't have any teeny lines on it. So I'm gonna go bold. This one's nice because you can see like the inside of the O, for example, is it's got a big footprint. It's not a tiny dot, so the printer's gonna have a hard time with little teeny itty bitty things. So I try to avoid those. Well, my printer does anyways because it's real old. But anyways, here we go. So you can see my words are cut off. That's fine. I go over here. I go 80%. Oh, still cut off. Okay, let's just make this. Oops. Curves this. Okay, so that's fine. I just do this guy, make it a little wider. Get out of here, point. It should give me my exclamation mark. There we go. Okay. That, and then I want to cut that out. So I go extruded cut, and I want to go blind from vertex. So I pick here, and then flip this direction, go 0.5 millimeters of depth. We don't need it to be too deep. Direction 2, I want that to come up as well because I did a loft, this top surface is probably not perfectly flat, so it's gonna potentially give me some itty bitty thin bits there in places, so I want to avoid that. But this looks good, so cut. There we go. Cooking good. All right, this looks great. So then I just need to save this and save it as an STL and then move over to Cura for some slicing. Here we are in Cura. So as I mentioned, I saved out an STL file. So I'll just open that now. There's my beautiful handle. So again, I'm not going to go through this in great detail. I did pre-establish some of the settings before I started this video. So if you want any details, let me know. I can do more. Yeah, so we'll go on this surface and then, oops, do arrange all models. Okay, let's get out of rotation mode. So I'm just gonna need some supports where the red parts are under there. I might actually block some of that support because I don't think we need it here. I'll just make more of a mess than what it's worth. Okay. That looks good. I do have a dual extrusion printer, but it's being a little bit cranky right now. So only one of the extruders is working because I tried to replace the heater core on the other extruder and it's not working properly. Anyways, whatever. We'll just use one extruder for now. And then I'm going to try tree supports, which theoretically uses less material. I don't do that too often, so we'll just see what happens. Let's go slice. Phew. Okay, that took a while. Let's see what our preview says. Okay, we got some trees. Yeah, well, give it a shot, I guess. Okay. So now I save to disk, export a G-code file, put it onto my SD card, take that down to the printer, and get it started. Here I am at my Bebo printer. Just stick the SD card in here and printing Ninja print 192 of 0. Yes, so that's good. So it's going to take a while to heat this up. So once that gets going, hopefully we get a successful print. It's not exactly what 3D printing dreams are made of. Maybe nightmares. I didn't put enough glue on the print bed, so the supports came off, and then whacked the print to create these uneven bits of layers here. But it's actually pretty sturdy. So I don't like wasting things. I'm going to see if this is going to work. First step is to check and make sure it's going to actually fit onto the holes or the top of the lid here. So this only goes on in one direction. These holes, close, close, far, far. Those locator pins need to be located. Okay, so maybe after this, I'm gonna just adjust my model to fix this, and then I'll post this model for anybody who wants it after. That is really not lining up well at all. Actually, I think I got that. It's just this front face here. Woof. My measuring skills maybe need some improvements. Anyways, I filed off a bunch of these edges here because it's slightly too wide. I drilled out the two locator holes, but now it fits. So I'm not too far off, but I do want to update my model to make sure that I get something that people don't have to actually file off before it's gonna fit onto their lid. So there we go. Bada boom, bada bing. Cleaned up that print underneath there, and yeah, cooking good, baby. We're back in SolidWorks, so I wanted to incorporate some of the changes that I made. I made this hole bigger, so let's go ahead and do that. 6 millimeters. Good. And then I'll actually just edit this sketch this way. So I'm gonna make this guy 4.5 millimeters. And then I think this can be 3. And this can be 3 as well. Okay, and then this guy, maybe just take that back a bit. Even here, if it'll let me do that. Oh no, that's got a dimension, so we'll call this, I don't know, 18. Okay. Good. Rebuild that puppy. So now we've got bigger holes. Good. It's a little tighter that way. And what else? Oh yeah. I want to create a in cut on the bottom of this because there's like a little raised area in there that was hitting, and I don't like that. So let's go back to here and sketch on this plane. Sketch here, offset entities, reverse, good. And then I will cut those out. No, 1.5 millimeters, sure. Direction 2? No, just one direction. Okay. There we go. I think that'll be better. And since I don't want to have to reprint this whole thing, I'm going to only print the feet and make sure that they're going to fit. So let's do a sketch on the front plane here. This doesn't need to be quite so nice as the other ones. Usually I like for my sketches to be fully defined and locked down. This does not matter as much. So let's just go get this a little closer, but I still want my screw interface to be there. So let's say that's good. Okay. Good. And cut that out through both sides. good. And then I'll attach them together so that the distances are set for when I try to fit them on there. Go here to there. That's good. And then smart dimension, this guy here. How about 7? And then we'll just go construction, mirror, these guys, mirror about this line, okay. That extruded boss slash base, that's good. We'll go the other way. 1.5 millimeters should be plenty. And merge result, okay. So that's good. He's like gonna give us a little edge there, but no one cares. So good. Now I go over to Cura and set up another print file. We're back in Cura. I've already imported my model and sliced it for you guys to see. So I turned off I'm going to turn off the trees. I just actually turned off support altogether. Let's do that again. Yes, support, normal support. Let's see what that looks like. So, yeah, this is going to be a slight pain. That's fine. Because, yeah, I just want it to support where that screw is going to sit. Okay, cool. So let's try that. Here we go again. All right, here I am. I got my newest print. It worked out much better than the first one. So you can see the modifications that I made with this lip around here. And this is just to make sure that the next variation of my handle is going to fit a little better than the last one and I don't have to file it. So I make sure that these holes are going to line up correctly, which that is not right. So here we go. Close, close, far, far. There, there. It seems to be much better than before. Let's get some screws in there. It's definitely not going to be too wide like the last one was. And then because I pulled back the surfaces in here, they're not binding either. So I'm going to call that good. This is my posting on Thingiverse. I'm all done my handle. I've posted 2 STL files on here. One has the cooking good text and the other one's just plain. And I just put a couple pictures of my finished handle on here. So if anybody wants it, go and get it. And if you have any questions, let me know and I'll talk to you next time. Thanks. Bye.